Hello, welcome back to Torchlit Gaming. I'm John and this is Justin, and today we're going to do part four of our show and tell series. If you missed the previous episodes, basically we're just going to show some curiosities from our gaming collection and going to talk about them, and we'll just trade off doing that back and forth. So without further ado, we can jump right in.
All right. So I will go first today. So I'm gonna do. We have an ongoing theme apparently in all these like podcasts and videos where it all comes back to me working at Blockbuster for some reason. So I figured why not show my name tag from said job? I found this actually not too long ago, and I was like, "Oh yeah, that'd be kind of cool to show." But yeah, so it's kind of a cool little thing. We wore these, we had to wear these so people knew who we were. Blah blah blah. Normal retail job stuff. The funny thing is, we just had bins of these things that were blank, and then we can like make our own tags. So we would make random tags from time to time and be like, "Oh, I'm gonna be Randall from Clerks today," and then we make a Randall tag you know, fun times like that. There's also another one that I had that I couldn't find before the show, but it's when they had their gaming section, they had separate tags for those, and it was uh Gran Turismo 4 when that game was coming out, and I had one of those, but I can't find it. But anyway, so just a little quick little glimpse into the fact that I did actually work here and didn't just make it that up. So there you go. So that's that. I guess let's see. You have something that you wanted to show now, right?
Yeah, and just on Blockbuster, and we do talk about it a lot, but it's the genesis of all this gaming that was going on. Some people might think, oh, it's just a video store, but it was the main event for gamers, especially when you're young, and it's pretty much an easier way. You don't have to spend 40, 50, $60 for a game. You can just get a rental for the weekend, try it out. Um, we didn't have all these reviews and previews and trailers that you can watch. We had some kooky TV commercials, which you've probably seen at the intros of our episodes, but trying a game at Blockbuster was so important, and just the fact that you have an authentic name tag from there is just, I mean, it's cool. I never,
Um,
worked there or anything, but I definitely shopped there frequently,
yeah.
and I would tell my parents, please let's go to Blockbuster, and they'll rent a video, and I'd be renting a game or two, and
Yep.
uh, yeah, there's one of those things that if you were there, you have fond memories of it, and
Yeah.
if not, then you just probably grew up watching Netflix.
And the other thing is, Blockbuster was a place to just hang out. Like we would have, the different like game kiosks where you can go and just like try out new games. That's a lost start because you can just download demos now. So, but back in the day, it would be like a rotation where we'd have like sometimes we were told by corporate, but sometimes we could just throw whatever in, and then you could just like demo the game there. Yeah, there you go.
There's
That might ex
one of my game rentals. I showed this in a previous episode, but yeah, just a game rental from Blockbuster.
I think that was from
One
my
week.
store.
Yeah, this probably was. They actually had 1 week rentals. I mean, that was a big deal.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's easier if you have little resources. You didn't have to have the 50 or $60 to buy the game. You could just rent it for a week, and if you had a lot of time on your hands, that could be enough time to beat a lot of games. So,
Yep.
but I will go ahead, and what I want to show next or first today is actually it's my favorite video game series of all time. And some people might be surprised that it's not Final Fantasy, but my favorite game series of all time is actually Metal Gear Solid. So I'm going to show some of the games that I have for Metal Gear Solid today. Obviously, the this is the first one with Solid added to it. Obviously, Metal Gear has a really long history, going back to 1985 on the NES. I believe that's the year that the first one was released. Those games, I'm not. Those aren't really the games that got me hooked on the series. They're obviously 8-bit games. The first couple, Metal Gear 1 and 2, I can't remember what it's called, Snake's Revenge, I think. But obviously, being 8-bit, they were a lot lesser games. They still had like stealth elements to them, but a lot harder to try to go back and play those today.
Yeah, for
But
sure.
the series took a long hiatus, like after, and there was some games in between. I think there was some games on another system. I can't think of the name of that system right now, but um, after Metal Gear 2, like the next main entry in the series was this one, Metal Gear Solid, for PS1. This came out in 1998, um, by Konami, of course, and brainchild of Hideo Kojima. He's pretty much just like one of those, you know, one of those creative geniuses. This is really what he is. But yeah, here's a look at this game. And this is the first one I played, the first Metal Gear Solid that I played, and it's the one that really got me hooked on the series. I'll show a little bit of the booklet. This one has two discs. Um, show a little bit of the booklet inside it, but like really the reason it's my favorite series is just I really like the stealth elements. I like there's a lot of like communication by codec throughout the game, where the codec is basically like a two-way radio that the main character Solid Snake uses, obviously, and he talks to his commanding officer Colonel Campbell, and he talks to other uh, characters in the story and everything. But um, the game does a really good job of like narration, and it's very like conveys a sense of urgency to the player that I found it to be pretty unique. Like you can't just manufacture that. You either the game is either has that sense of urgency or it doesn't. But this one, is like there's terrorists trying to take over, and they're trying to launch nukes, and they're launching this ultimate weapon called Metal Gear Rex. And it's got like a prologue and everything in here, so it does have a lot of backstory to it. Um, and then there's this unit, this elite fighting unit called Foxhound. Um, the stories that goes on throughout Metal Gear is very complex. Um, and there's people, of course, who follow it. Like when I was playing all these games, I was really into the story and I knew exactly what was going on. But like right now, I probably couldn't tell you all the ins and outs of all the story because there's so many twists and turns.
Yeah.
This page is kind of interesting because it says Snake has two primary missions. Um, Infiltrate the nuclear disposal site is the first mission, and then rescue the DARPA chief and the arms tech president is the second mission. And it says when the game begins, your first goal is to rescue the DARPA chief. But there's so many twists and turns. Like nothing is straightforward in this game. Um, all the way to you even have to watch this game after the end credits because then it teases what's going to happen next. Um,
Cinematic.
yeah, it's got a nice manual and everything. It just tells you all about how to play the game and all that stuff. There's a radar. I like the radar in the game, and it evolved over each entry and got more advanced. But then there's like virtual reality simulations. Actually, there's a whole disc, a whole game called Metal Gear Solid VR Missions. It's just like 100. I think it's more than 100 different missions, and you can like do stealth with no weapons, and then you can do missions where you like break targets with each firearm and each weapon. There's a couple of the characters. That's Revolver Ocelot. I think Decoy Octopus, maybe. Um, the characters are really iconic throughout Metal Gear Solid. That's another reason why it's one of my favorite. There's Dr. Naomi Hunter. Um, but yeah, that's why it's one of my favorite. Like, it is my favorite series. This says Konami is offering you a reward for information, and it just wants to ask you questions about the game. How many PlayStation games do you plan to buy in the next 12 months?
All
I
of
guess
them.
you mail this. Um,
You
it
should
says
mail it.
you could win a free Konami video game drawing. So you
Oh,
could win a free Konami game by doing that. Obviously,
they just send
not
you a
anymore,
pachinko
but
machine in the mail.
yeah, like. There's a list of codec frequencies for all of the main people you contact. The voice acting, I should say, is also really good in this game.
Yeah.
My Probably my favorite is Colonel Campbell,
Yeah.
who really became a meme character later on. Here's some cool drawings of the characters: Solid Snake, Meryl, Campbell, Naomi, Hunter, Mei Ling. Some of these are like fan favorite characters. There's the bad guys too, and each Metal Gear has its uh, own unique cast of villains. And some of them, like I think these ones are probably like the best, the coolest in the series, and it gets a little crazy later on in the series. It gets a little crazy, but
Yeah.
um, yeah, some of these drawings are pretty neat, like the ninja, big boss. See if there's anything else of note. Not
I have
really anything
a
else of note.
I was gonna say I have a fun
There's,
story about Metal Gear Solid. When I
mhm.
whenever whenever I go see my doctor, I have to pass this like farm. I don't know if it's like a farm. It's like, they have like equipment, like in farming equipment or something. In the sign, and it hasn't changed in like 10 years. Like since I moved here, it has never changed. And it says Miller Gears sold here. So every time I pass it, I'm like Miller Gear.
Funny.
It makes me laugh all the time, and like I've always wanted to share that story because it's so ridiculous, but it makes me laugh
That
every
is funny.
time. I'm like Miller Gear, or however the hell Campbell says it, or whatever character that is. Whether they're talking about Metal Gear and it launching, whatever. Yeah, it makes me laugh every time.
Yeah, like
Uh,
Metal Gear is like a quote in every game, like Metal Gear. Sometimes it's a question, sometimes it's a statement. And there's the VR missions disc, which is much lesser known. It's not like a main entry in the series. It's just
yeah.
a lot of people don't even know that, but it's actually pretty fun, and you can use every weapon. That's a long, that's just saying a lot about one game. So that's the first game. Metal Gear Solid 2, I owned it. Don't know what happened to it. My friend had given it to me a long time ago. I don't know what happened to it, but it's also Metal Gear Solid 2, I'll just say real quick, is a lot of people didn't like it when it first came out because the developers purposely released a trailer and showed the tanker episode. The tanker episode is the one that features Solid Snake. So
Yep.
everybody assumed the game was going to be about Solid Snake, but then they do a little switcheroo on you a couple hours in, and you play as Raiden.
Yeah.
And people had very split opinions about that game and about Raiden. I personally thought it's an awesome game. Um, and I think Metal Gear Solid 2 was really ahead of its time. It talked a lot about memes before
Hmm.
memes was even a thing. Like it went on in meme theory. By the way, this one is in my top 10 of all time games. I'll just put that out there. It's in my top 10. Maybe one day me and you will do a top 10 list or a top 5 list. But
That'd be
yeah.
cool. Yeah. Wait, before you go
Then you
on.
had yeah, yeah.
So Metal Gear Solid 2, Raiden, right? So what's crazy is I feel like he has the best character development of any of the characters over time. Is because like he really comes into his own, like because you have Metal Gear Solid 2, he appears in another Metal Gear, and then he has this solo game, Revengeance, I think, and that has some really awesome gameplay with the sword. But I like Raiden as a character. I think he's very I don't want to say I want to say underrated. I think he's underrated. But anyway, carry on.
Yeah, Raiden's badass, and that comes out more later. He's actually an Easter egg character in the Phantom Pain in Metal Gear Solid 5. Phantom Pain, you can
Mm,
unlock Raiden, and he's the fastest character. He's actually faster than getting on your horse, which your horse is like basically to travel the open world map faster, like a vehicle would, and another open world game. And he's faster than the horse. Like he's just flying around, and he shoots out electricity everywhere when he's running. It's pretty cool. Ryan's badass, and he's got the sword and everything.
yeah.
But yeah, so this game is in my top 5 games of all time. It's my favorite game in Metal Gear Solid Snake Eater, and actually they're coming out with a game right now called Metal Gear Delta,
Hmm.
and it's a remastered version of this game. I guess it's just mainly got new visuals and stuff. I don't know if they did too much more than that. I think they just have new visuals and new audio, and but um This game's really awesome. The reason it's my in my top five, the reason it's my favorite is the story. I went back and replayed these games, recently. I bought this when it came out. This one came out in 2004. Bought it, played it on PS2 and everything, but I replayed it recently because I downloaded on Xbox Store. I downloaded Metal Gear Solid 2 and 3 remastered, or the HD version or whatever. It's a
Hmm.
combined 2 and 3, and I replayed them both. But the story just blew me away. How really, I mean, it's like a movie script, and it's got so many surprise endings, and it's about the boss and about Snake and the boss, and you think the boss betrayed you the whole time, but at the end you learn the boss didn't really betray you, and she was like a
Spoilers.
great patriot. Yeah, she was a patriot. I mean, you still got to play the game to see how it all shakes out, but but
Spoilers for a
but I'm
30 year
literally
old.
yeah, I'm looking forward to Metal Gear Delta because I think it's going to be really cool. But yeah, that's Metal Gear Solid 3. These booklets got so big in PS2, which is cool to me. And every PS2 had like a memory card holder and everything back then. Um, yeah, this booklet is actually advertises on the back an official comic book, Metal Gear Solid comic book. That's kind of cool. But yeah, this is a big old manual for this game. Camouflage. Actually, this starts with its own comic here. Um,
I think I want to say they released that on PSP, the comic as like a motion comic, and you can like read through the whole series all on PSP. It might be the whole series, it might not, I can't remember, but I want to bring up something of the PSP versions once you got a split there, but yeah.
yeah, yeah. Go ahead and you can talk about the PSP version.
I was gonna say, so they had Peace Walker and Portable Ops, and those games kind of fed into I think it fed into like Phantom Pain and that whole thing. But one of my favorite, okay, so Metal Gear Solid 3, of course, is a masterpiece. It's one of the best stealth games out there. But funny enough, one of my favorite games in the Metal Gear franchise is actually Metal Gear Acid 1 and 2. It takes the whole Metal Gear formula and turns it into like, instead of being action based, it turns it into like a card game type situation. You know how I am about my card games. I can't say those are better than Metal Gear Solid 3. I'm not saying that at all, but it's definitely a unique twist on how Metal Gear works. And so for me, I feel like that's one of those things where it's like uh it's it, because it's so unique in the way that it's formulated. I just love it. And it does callbacks, and the second one has like where you can do this weird like VR thing. It's interesting, but if you never played those games, I would check them out. But yeah, Metal Gear Solid 3 really raised the bar on how stealth games should be because of like how you can have all the different camo, how you can you know, find multiple ways around something, how it was all outdoors for the most part, how the all the bosses had unique mechanics, even more so than the first two. Um, I know I made fun of spoilers, but there's a boss called, I think, The End, where he's like this old sniper, and there's like multiple ways to defeat him, some of which involve your game time. That's all I'm going to say about that. But it's kind of cool how like Metal Gear Solid always has these crazy Easter eggs like Psycho Mantis where you have to switch the controller port to fight him kind of thing. There's actually a way to beat him without switching the controller port, but it's kind of a pain in the ass. But it's one of those things where that's pretty cool. Metal Gear Solid 3, there's a I think it's the fear when you or no, or is it the sorrow? I can't remember. You're fighting one of those and like you're going through a river, and I think at some point you fall asleep and you go into this weird action style game and you pretend to be somebody else, and it like totally changes to a different game at that point, and it's like, what? And then you do that for a while, and then you wake up and you're like, what the hell is that? But that was actually intended to be an actual its own game at one point, and it was being made by Konami, but then they canceled it. So it's kind of interesting to see all those pieces of what could have been in the franchise. Anyway, that's my rant. I love
Yeah, a
Metal Gear
few
Solid.
things, and you're right. And one cool thing about the fight you mentioned with the end is if you're able to sneak up on him, and do a hold up on him, which is not easy to do because he's in stealth. He's a stealth sniper. But if you sneak up on him and you hold him up, you can get his camo. Actually, every boss in Metal Gear Solid 3 has their own camo that you can get if you kill them non-lethal, and that's how you get his camo. Well, I guess you have to do a non-lethal kill. One of the others. You get either you get his gun or his camo. You get something cool for doing a hold up on him. But yeah, and to your point about the mobile games, there was so many other Metal Gear games that aren't like in the mainline series. There's Acid 1, there's Acid 2, um, there's portable ops, there's mobile ops, social ops, and then there's some that we don't talk about, like Metal Gear Survive. We just don't talk about that one, but um,
It's okay for what it is. I mean, it's whatever, but
I'm
it's
glad you mentioned Peace Walker.
yeah.
I love Peace Walker. I don't have it with me. I have it on Xbox 360. It's downloaded on
Hmm.
my Xbox 360. I never played the PSP version, but I know that's where it started, and it's a great game. And you're right, it does tie into the newer ones. It goes into Outer Heaven. That's like you build a base called Outer Heaven of all these soldiers, and that's what they talk about in Phantom Pain and everything. And then I'll try to speed through. I don't have as much to say about this one. This one's Guns of the Patriots, Metal Gear Solid 4, uh, PS3. I don't have as much nostalgia about this game. This is the greatest hits edition, by the way. I don't have as much nostalgia. Similar to how I mentioned people, were split in their opinions about Metal Gear Solid 2. Same thing on 4, because the game is basically it has between 8 and 9 hours of cutscene in the game. So it is more than like 5 feature-length movies of cutscenes that are in this game. It's still fun. It's a good game and everything. I like the Octo Camo system, and I like the fact that they brought back Colonel Campbell again after him being absent in Metal Gear Solid 3, and I like the fact they brought back Otacon because those are some of my favorite characters, and they have it goes back to the really good voice acting. I like some of the characters, but nothing really too cool in this manual, except for maybe this little symbol there of Fox. But yeah,
Uh,
Metal Gear Solid 4, it's a good game. It just has a whole lot of movies in it.
did you beat 4?
I haven't beat 4, but it's on my list. I just the movies wore me out.
Man, I mean, I will say yes, I understand that, but it seriously has one of the greatest, like in my opinion, it has one of the better endings in a Metal Gear game. Like, I don't want to say too much. I'm not since you haven't
I've
beaten
watched
it.
I've watched the ending. I've watched the ending. I'll say that. But yeah, I'm probably outing myself as not the best fan by saying it's my favorite series, but that's the probably the one game that I haven't beat. That's the one in the main series. The rest of them I beat them over time and time again. It's mainly because I didn't grow up with a PS3. That's the reason I didn't beat. I only got
Ah,
the PS3 later on.
yeah, I got
Um,
you. I haven't beaten 5, so it's all good. It's all good.
Yep. And we move into more modern. I got Metal Gear Rising. You mentioned this game with Raiden, and you can see Raiden's being a badass there on the cover. He's like a
Yeah,
cyborg ninja.
that game's dope.
This is Yep, it says cut what you will. And it's really based on those mechanics of just slicing in all different directions. Never got really that into this game. I didn't beat this game either, but it's technically not in the main
Yeah,
series. Um, I mean, it's fun. Raiden's cool. I do want to eventually play it. It got put in backlog hell basically.
yeah.
There's a little card. It says Konami Code Loyalty Program. I didn't even know that was such a thing. Konami Code Loyalty Program. Uh, Coming soon, spring 2013. KonamiCore.com.
That was like 12 years
And they have
ago.
Yep, there is some really interesting gear on here, and there's even a Risk game, a board game of Metal Gear Solid theme.
Oh, that's
Uh,
cool.
Music collection, T-shirts, buttons. Um, Interesting.
Yeah. I think
Foxhound
uh
shirt.
I think that game was done by Platinum, who would go on to do what all did they do? I can't think, like Near, I think. They did
This promo code expired in 2013.
Bummer. Got to time travel.
It's got a it's got a manual, but there's not much to see in the manual, so I'm going to skip over that one and go to the next one. Uh, by the way, this is going to be my longest thing I'm going to show, but Metal Gear Solid 5 Ground Zeroes came out. A lot of criticism when this game came out, mainly because they were charging full price for, and this is not a complete game.
Yeah.
I liked it though. I still had a lot of fun playing this game. This was like the stopgap that was going to hold fans over between 4 and 5 because they knew Phantom Pain was going to take more time to get it out. But this introduced you to the Phantom Pain style of gameplay.
Yeah.
I was all about it. I mean, I thought this was really a great experience. I maybe paid a little more than you wanted to for it. It says you can unlock bonus items in the Phantom Pain uh, by playing this game. You can unlock some bonus items and stuff. As you can
Nice.
see, Snake. You find out later this is a different Snake. It's not Solid Snake. This actually chronologically
Comes before.
came uh, after 3, but before Solid and all that stuff. This was in the 80s
Yep.
chronologically. And
Yep.
then I forgot, but you were talking about what you liked about Metal Gear Solid 3, and another thing I liked about it is that it also mixes in a little bit of history. Like it'll mix in like real events like the Cuban Missile Crisis and
Hmm.
President Kennedy, President Khrushchev, but it's also adding a bunch of fictional elements and stuff. Um,
And then I think immediately after 5 is Metal Gear 1.
there's the same similar Konami code thing, a store, but it's got a little bit of a different thing. And then there's a says go to konamicore.com to find out how to use this code for points. I'm sure that doesn't do anything anymore, but it's interesting. Metal Gear Solid 5 Phantom Pain. So that was this is in Ground Zero, so I guess that's your first look at
Oh boy, a
the actual.
skeleton.
Yeah. And then I think I just have one final game here to show, and then I'm done on Metal Gear for now. But then you had the Phantom Pain Day One edition of the Phantom Pain.
Nice.
Um, this one, it's good. It's really good. Actually, the gameplay is phenomenal. Um, and it's very customizable. Like I love how much you can customize your weapons in this game. It's really fun. And you can have all these vehicles and you got companions, you got a dog, a horse, you can build your base up. It's like Peace Walker on steroids.
Yeah.
Um, it's really fun. The story got kind of crazy. I feel like Kojima's like losing his grip on reality more than usual when he came out with this story. But there's
That
a
yeah, that
there's an
sums it up.
add-on. There's like a free code that came with the game. It includes there's the code, but it says it included some ballistic shield, a cardboard box,
Ooh,
snake costume, uh, and some other stuff
Metal
that
Gear
I can't read
Online.
back.
I miss Metal Gear
Oh yeah,
Online.
a Damska special and MGO Metal Gear Online XP boosts. I don't know if I used that or not, but yeah, that's pretty much all. I know that took a long time to get through, but yeah, it's my favorite series of all. I did beat the Phantom Pain. I beat all the other ones, just not 4. But I did watch the ending, and it was really cool, like you said. But yeah, that's all I got for Metal Gear.
All right, mine is gonna be way shorter in comparison. So
Sorry.
no, you're good. I'm just saying you showed all this cool stuff, and now I feel like I'm just like, hey guys,
Yeah, it
check
was
out
it was
check
six
out my
games. If anyone's counting, oh, that is cool.
check out my guy.
That
But
is
yeah,
cool.
this is the original player's guide. I was actually gonna show a Legend of Zelda one, Link to the Past guide, but it had a unfortunate mishap a couple weeks ago, and it is destroyed now. So that sucks. But this one survived. So this is they actually remade this game recently on Switch, but this is the original Super Nintendo uh, player's guide. Um, so I'll tell my story about this game. So when this game came out, and not to be sad, but my parents were going through a divorce at the time. So I had a choice of getting this or going to the Renaissance Festival, and I chose this game. Great choice, by the way, because this game's awesome. And I remember when I moved to Florida for the first time, I had this game with me, and my dad thought this game was lame because he didn't like RPGs, and I was madly in love with RPGs at that point. And so I beat it. I was at my cousin's house, and I didn't have this guide at the time, but I wound up beating Smithy while I was at my cousin's house, and it was one of my greatest accomplishments because it took so long. Like I don't know if anybody remembers the ending. I guess if you played recently, like that whole ending sequence was so long, dude. But it's pretty cool, and I feel like I think the true irony is I think a lot of the manuals in the past felt bigger than these strategy guides because this strategy guides there's nothing to it like it's really like do this
Nice
go
art.
yeah do this go here oh you want to know how to beat the boss here you go oh here's a typo we don't care this is the 90s what do you want from us we're writing this on typewriters like we don't even have Photoshop to put these things together leave us alone they also have like the bestiary so you can see like all the different bad guys and their HP and all that stuff. Um, so this is cool. It also tells you all the different bosses and all their junk. What else I got here? What else is cool? Items that goes through each of the items. Eh. Um, and it even tells you like every shop, like what they have in each shop and all the different kingdoms. Mario RPG was kind of a simple RPG for the time, so I mean, it wasn't that hard to get all this stuff down because I mean, it wasn't like huge, which is intentional because it's meant for a beginner. Um, Let me think here. Let me think of what else is cool. Uh, oh, okay. So you have the where it tells you how to beat the last boss, and then it has the handbook for here. The handbook for heroes is like all the items and stuff and all the whatever, which is like not that far into this. Like half of this is the game, and then the other half is this. So that's kind of cool. Other memories about this game. Rawr. I was gonna say something. So the remake, I got that recent. I got that when it came out because this is one of my favorite games, and I think they did a pretty good job at keeping the original intact but also adding something new for new people to come in. I don't know if you've played the new Mario RPG remake, but they added this thing where you have like this little gauge where you can boost it up to 100, and then you can have like triple text and stuff like that, kind of like Chrono Trigger, which is kind of cool. It does kind of make the game a little easier, but they added a post game where you can refight all the bosses. So that's cool. And they're harder. So they definitely didn't forget to make it not only accessible but also challenging for people who have already played the game, which that's the kind of remake I like where they kind of keep the essence but add stuff in for returning players. Um I'm gonna spoil this. There's a boss in this game. Actually, maybe I can find it in here. There's a boss in this game. Where is it? Nope, 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 nope. Where is it? Come on.
And then didn't they make some characters playable in Smash Brothers from that game?
Mhm. Yeah, they did. Like Gino. Well, Gino is a costume, I think, but I mean, more or less. Uh,
Yeah, like our Mario RPG introduced some iconic characters that were never really seen before or too much after in some cases, like Malo,
yeah, good point. Yeah.
Gino. Yeah, it's really fun. I grew up and played the original version. I have not played the remastered version yet, but um, I mean, it's a really charming game. I like the graphics kind of were like I don't know if they were rendered graphics, but they look um, more advanced than like 2D sprites that you normally see in Super
Hmm.
Nintendo games. It almost looks like they were trying for a Donkey Kong Country style of like rendered graphics for some characters, but it's a really fun game. It's got a good combat system. Um,
Hmm.
I like the timing of the combat is like
Yeah.
action, so that like you have to like if you time a like they use that later for Paper Mario and for the Mario and Luigi series, I think. But
Well, that
like if you time an attack, you can make it critical.
I can't find it. But yeah, you're right. And actually, so I remember what I was going to say. Three things. So they made a boss because Square made the game. So they made a boss kind of like Final Fantasy-esque, where it uses the Final Fantasy 4 or 2 um, boss music, and when you beat him, he gives you a crystal and then fucks off. Um, so I probably should have said that, but whatever. And then in the remake, they have the same battle with the same sprite and everything, but then in the rematch, he's in 3D like the rest of the game. So it's like he's like an upgraded form from the last time you saw him, which is kind of cool. Um, Mario and Luigi and Paper Mario. So you brought that up, so that's funny. So when they were moving to the Nintendo 64, they originally were going to have Mario RPG 2, and it was just going to be a straight sequel. Well, they fell out with Square. Everybody knows about that, where they Square was like, I don't want to be doing cartridges. CDs are better. So then they, left Nintendo's, and Nintendo were pissed off. So they had to create a new. They wanted to keep going with Mario RPG, but they had to differentiate it, I guess, because they both owned different parts of the RPG game. Like I think they own Geno and all those characters and blah blah blah. But and anybody can check me on that. It's been a long time since I've read into it. But so they made Paper Mario to differentiate it from that. A little bit long down the line, a company called Alpha Dream made the Mario and Luigi series. Now Alpha Dream, who isn't a company anymore, but they actually had team members from the original Mario RPG team that had left Square and joined Alpha Dream. So people that were working on Mario and Luigi actually had worked on Mario RPG at one point in time. So Mario and Luigi is actually the true successor to the Mario RPG series. Um, Paper Mario kind of is. It's kind of like a side thing, but like because people worked, that's kind of, and you can tell because like Mario RPG or Mario and Luigi share a lot, like you said, the time-based stuff, it's way more prevalent, I think, in that where you have to do the A to jump and all that stuff. Uh, you know, Paper Mario has some of that, but the badges and all that are like totally different in my opinion. Whereas Mario and Luigi kind of plays on the RPG elements like Mario RPG did. Anyway, that's my rant. But that's one of those things. The other thing I was going to say is when I was in seventh grade, a friend of mine at the time and I were going to create a video game. And one of our ideas was to make a battle scene kind of like Mario RPG, but make it like a fighting game at the same time, where you can like knock people out of bounds and stuff. And that was like kind of like the uh, basis of it. And I was looking through like Final Fantasy 2 to manual to get like power ideas and looking at that to get ideas. And then they announced Smash Brothers not that much longer after that, and it was kind of this similar idea where you knock people out of the arena, and we were gonna have like where you can have like uh guest items where it'd be from other games. Like, of course, we were kids, so we didn't think about copyright and all that, but where you could like have guests come on and help you fight and things like that. And it just, whenever I think of Mario RPG, it makes me think of that idea. We're going to call it Invasion because we're really into Earthbound at the time. and we thought we could like combine all these elements of all the different games we liked. So anyway, that was my long-winded look back on some of my history with this game because it's like it's pretty influential. It still is. A lot of people still like Bugs. Ah, crap, what is that game called? Bug's Tale, Bug's Life? No, Bug's Life's the movie. Bug. I think it's Bug's Tale. It pretty much uses the battle system from Mario RPG straight up. Um, there's so many more, man. Like it's crazy. But anyway, that was my item I wanted to show. So what do you got for us?
Yep. And just one last note on Mario RPG. I grew up, I liked it. I also liked that it had a lot of secrets and
Yeah.
like hidden things, and also worth checking into for anybody who's watching. If you're into speedrunning, it's got a pretty sweet speedrunning history.
Hmm.
It's a popular speedrunning game, and you'd be surprised at what people can do with that game, and how fast they can beat it, and what low level they can beat it at. It's pretty interesting. But
Yeah.
all right, well, next thing I'm going to show. Um, I was okay. This is from 2023. This is
Oh.
it's actually a little backpack here, and this is from Walmart, and it is called Gamer Drop 2023. If you watched our other episodes, you watched the other Gamer Drop that I showed. I showed the one from 2022. Yeah, this is a drawstring backpack that you can wear. I actually broke the string over here, but I just tied it back the best I could. Yeah, it's a drawstring backpack. It's got like a pouch right here. There's nothing in that part. And as you can see, it says Walmart and it says Gamer Drop 2023. On this side, um, if you saw the last Gamer Drop that I showed, same partners, Nintendo, Xbox, and PlayStation are all the main partners, and then Meta is a partner. Um, so they were giving these away at Walmart in 2023. They have a history of doing that. Actually, Walmart recently they did something similar to this, but they called it Game On, and there wasn't really many giveaways. It was more just like a booth that they had set up. But I actually went to it and played Beat Saber and stuff with a MetaQuest, the newest version of MetaQuest headset. It was interesting. So I'm just
I
gonna
love
open this
beats.
thing up, and we're gonna see what's inside. It's been a minute since I looked at this, but we're gonna see what we got in here. Um, Oh boy, we got some socks. These are Gamer Drop socks. They've never been opened. Um,
eBay.
what
Just
can I say? They're made in China, and they're
oh,
socks that have Gamer Drop 2023 thing on them. And what else can I say? I mean, maybe I'll use them at some point. Let's see what else is in this thing. Let's save that. Okay, well, this is Marvel Spider-Man 2.
oh, that's cool. Stickers,
And it's
nice.
stickers. I really like Marvel Spider-Man 2. It's a really good game. It just says it has a sticker in it. This is like a little pouch or an envelope, and we'll open it up and we'll see what we got in here. I've never opened this. Um, yeah, there we go. Looks like
That's cool.
some
That's cool as shit.
Miles Morales. Miles Morales being the other Spider-Man. And yeah, that's pretty neat. They're all like the same circular shaped stickers for promotional use only, made in China. Um, that's all that's in this, by the way. I thought there was something else, but that's pretty cool.
That's really
Let me
cool.
see what else. And that's, I think that's only on PlayStation, right? That's not on anything else.
Yeah, it's only PlayStation. It's by Insomniac, I think, who is
Yep,
like
I
a
saw that somewhere. It
second party
says,
or something.
yeah, there it is, Insomniac. Let's see what else is in this thing. There's a booklet. I'm going to save the booklet for last. Okay, you would appreciate this one. Um, we got a Nintendo character patch,
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, that's
and it
real
is
cool.
the old style Mario, like Super Mario World style.
That's very
I
cool.
guess it's adhesive. Not sure if you have to embroider this or if it's adhesive. I'm not sure. But yeah, pretty neat. They were representing, all their major partners. They're, Nintendo, Xbox, PlayStation. Um, then you have a MetaQuest sticker sheet.
That's kind of
Um,
cool.
MetaQuest 3. So each one of these you can peel, stick, cover your world. You got the, I don't know why you would want a sticker of two controllers and the headset, but the infinity symbol's kind of cool, and even that one's kind of cool, but
Yeah.
I don't know where you would put that, to be honest. But yeah, it's this sticker sheet.
Put it on the MetaQuest itself.
Um,
MetaQuest
Here's
Inception.
one. They included some 48
Ah,
pack of dude wipes.
nice.
Mint chill dude wipes. I don't know if
Sweet.
are they saying that gamers need are not clean. I'm not sure what the it says it's not for resale, but I'm not sure what the driving, you know.
Maybe it's to clean the headset after use. Like, you can clean the mask so the next person can use it.
Here's a fun little fact. These do expire, but they're not expired yet. It says they're best if used by March 24, 2026. So these
Mm,
are still fresh and
wow.
minty, and I may just use these. Even though this was given out in 2023, those are still valid today. How about that?
That's crazy.
And then the last thing in this backpack here is
Oh,
a little catalog that we can take a look at. They were advertising Spider-Man 2 for PS5, Super Mario Brothers Wonder,
great game.
and
Yep.
what is that, Starfield?
Yeah, Starfield. Yep.
And that's what they got on the front, and then they're advertising that MetaQuest. And then on the back they have Legos. Is that
Nice.
Lego Mario, Lego Sonic, and Minecraft?
That is, yep.
Those aren't. Yeah, that's pretty neat. It says five awesome sets for gamers at 1997 each. Gamers play on, and those are the different Legos that you could get for 1997 at that time. Minecraft and Super Mario. Um, it's interesting that they have the penguin from Mario 64. The penguin has its own set,
Yeah. You can
and
you can
I don't
relive
know.
all the throwing them off a mountain that you want.
Yeah, and Shadow the Hedgehog has a set here too. But yeah, just taking a look. Here's what they're going in here. Into the Starfield is the first promo. That's actually the Xbox controller that I own right here on Xbox One. Is called Arctic Forces. Elevate your game. Or I guess it's called Arctic Camo. Experience the Xbox wireless controllers Arctic Camo Special Edition. Let's see what else did they have in here. There's Mario Brothers Wonder. I feel like this was pretty early. Like I feel like I didn't know about Mario Brothers Wonder until a long time after this. This promotion, I should say, about this gamer drop is something that was more like at the end of the year at the Christmas season. It's probably a really good strategy for getting parents to buy electronics and buy games for their kids for like a perfect holiday gift type thing. But yeah, there's Super Mario Brothers Wonder. That would probably have been
Came
maybe
out in
I'm just not
October.
maybe I'm just not remembering exactly when it came out. It says it's available now and that it's
Makes sense.
exclusively on the Switch.
Yeah, because
Um,
I'm pretty sure it came out in October of 2023 because I used
wow,
one of
time's just
those. Yeah, so I used one of those
flying.
little Switch thing, the passes to get it. I remember that. I love that game. That game's awesome.
Yeah, I agree. It is a really good game. I haven't beaten it, but it was pretty fun. 'Tis the season to play. And there's Spider-Man 2, another game I have beaten Spider-Man 2, and it's a really good game.
You just did that recently,
Um,
didn't you?
yes, I've played all the Spider-Man 1 and the DLC and Miles Morales, which was its own game, and Spider-Man 2. Yep, I did beat it recently. This is a MetaQuest promotion. Explore your world, expand your world. MetaQuest 3, the most powerful quest yet with breakthrough mixed reality, and then MetaQuest 2 is apparently their best-selling headset.
I have one.
Um,
I don't have a
there's
three.
advertising.
A three. MetaQuest 3 is really cool.
Yeah, that's the one I used when I played the demo of Beat Saber, and it is cool. The only thing was that it wasn't really. I had to take my glasses off to play it, and I wasn't
Mm,
really seeing it too great. But
yeah.
I'm sure there's ways around that.
Yeah, they have spacers and stuff.
Yeah, they're showing some games. I don't know much about Wrath there's a Stranger Things VR, there's a Ghostbusters VR, and the Lego Brick Tales. I don't know if you've ever played any of those. I
I don't think I've played any of those.
And the last page here says level up your wish list, and it has a Assassin's Creed um, promo there. Another series that I enjoy and have enjoyed for quite a while. Prince of Persia, a lot of Nintendo Switch games there.
Have
Um,
you played that Prince of Persia game?
I haven't played that one. This one's called The Lost Crown. I have
Yeah.
not played that one. It said January 18th, 2024.
Hmm.
But I do have the Prince of Persia that was on Xbox 360. I
Mm,
actually have it, and it actually has a Blockbuster sticker on the front of it too. I'll have to show that
nice.
one time. And then I guess
Um,
these are more like kid games here at the end,
yeah,
Baby
those
Shark and Grinch and stuff.
the IP ones. The Prince of
Bluey.
Persia game you should check out. It's basically a Metroidvania.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I'm sure I would be into it. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the Gamer Drop 2023. Just it was just something they were giving out, and they were doing that in the electronics department. So if you were back shopping in the electronics department by Walmart, I'm sure it was probably on a weekend because that's when most people tend to be there. But they were just giving these bad boys out, and it's just I guess I lost track of time because it seems like it was longer ago than it really was. But
Time flies when you're having fun, right?
what you
All
got for
right.
us next?
So I'm gonna mix it up, I think. So I'm gonna preface this conversation with this. I'm kind of a big Monopoly guy. I really love Monopoly. I have so many different Monopolies, it's insane. You can ask. I mean, you were here the other that not too long ago, and you saw how many I had. I have even more than what I had here. Like I have this thing in my attic where it's just like Stranger Things, Coca-Cola, Disney, like all these. But the ones that I really like collecting the most are the gamer ones. I usually try to find the ones that bring something new to the table and isn't just a reskin of normal Monopoly. You know what I mean? But with that being said, some of my favorite reskins are gamer ones. So I'll show a couple of those really quick. So first one I got up, Halo Monopoly. I think I got this one on clearance. I don't think I paid full price. I think I got this one for like 15 bucks or something. It's pretty cool. But like I said, it's just a reskin. You know, you have the sword. No crap, I'm reverse sword. I don't remember what that is. Warthog. Was that Ghost? Banshee,
Ghosts.
maybe? No, I don't know what the hell that is. Master Chief's helmet. Some blob. Uh, Arbiter, maybe? I don't know. And then you have like the normal board and all that crap. I mean, it's a cool set. I mean, if you just want to play Monopoly with this new skin, there you go. The other one I have that's well, actually, I have two of them that are reskins. I didn't realize that. I'll show this one. Well, no, I'll show this one first because these will go the fastest. I have the Nintendo one. This one's really cool, but again, it just replaces stuff with Nintendo stuff. So instead of Boardwalk and Park Place, it's Mario and Luigi because they're the most profitable, I guess, of Nintendo. Uh, Gotta get my bearings. The chance cards have little, I guess, a homeless Mario. I don't know, and a flying Mario. I guess. I don't know. And then you know the coins or
Hobo
whatever.
Mario.
Yeah. And then you have a gyroid, Pikmin's rocket, Zelda's sword, Samus helmet, Star Mushroom as the pieces. So that's kind of cool. Um, I don't really play these that much because they're just, you know. reskins. The last one I have that's a reskin is another one is The Legend of Zelda. Um, let's see. This one has 60-minute speed play rules, so that's kind of cool. But I love the art on this because it's like, all the different places. You got Temple of Time and Hyrule Castle as Boardwalk and Park Place. That's cool. Um, chest and a bottle for chance and why can't I think of the other one? Uh, crap, whatever it's
Mm,
called. Community chest.
community chat.
Um, and then you have rupees that are the money. And then your tokens are Triforce, Shield, Bow, Slingshot, Hookshot, Boomerang. So, there's some cool stuff on here. The artwork's really cool. I played this like twice, I think. Um, let's see. So now we've already shown Mario Kart before, so that one the rules are different and it plays differently and it has like a whole where you can buy more or whatever. And also I looked it up and those pieces are expensive now. Like you used to be able to buy like blind bags of like more characters for the Mario Kart and the gamer one I'm gonna show. But I looked it up on eBay because you can't buy them in stores. They used to be like 3 to 5.99. Now they're like $30 a piece, and I'm like, I'm not spending $30 on game pieces. No thanks. One of my actually surprisingly, one of my favorite monopolies that they tried something new, Fortnite Monopoly. So the really interesting thing about this is you have these little pieces, these walls. And like you roll a die and sometimes you can like drop walls um like certain number of spaces I think from where you are to where you move. And then a player whenever they encounter a wall they have to stop and they have to stop on whatever space. So like you can strategically place these walls on like spaces that'll hurt them. So like you can put it on jail or you can put it on one of your pricier uh spots, et cetera, et cetera. And it's really kind of cool. Another roll of the die will let you like shoot ahead so you can like break walls or damage other people because instead of money you have hit points and it's the last person standing like in Fortnite. So like if somebody's ahead of you, like as long as they're on the straight line, you can shoot them and deal them damage. There's a way to get hit points back. Um, but yeah, and then there's the storm, like in Fortnite. So like as you go along, the storm will start covering up places, and whenever you land on it, you take damage. It's very cool. Like if you don't play any other gamer monopolies, definitely give this one a try. It's pretty interesting how they worked it out. Like my wife loved it, my kids loved it. Like we played it a couple of times, and we were like, man, this is awesome. Oh, and instead of like starting at go, you get to drop on any of the spots that you want. So that was kind of cool. I think incorporated the battle bus kind of thing. So that gets Justin's seal of approval. The other one I have, I kind of mentioned already, is Monopoly Gamer. This one's pretty cool. It changes up the formula. You actually fight bosses and stuff. I'm not gonna pull it all out, but instead of like when you pass go, you show one of the boss cards down here, and then you have to fight the boss, and you're trying to get the most amount of points by the end of the game. Kind of like Mario Kart, but less racy. Then you have the coins, of course, and the characters, and each character has like their special abilities that they have that you can use and stuff like that. This one's pretty cool. I enjoy playing this. This is actually the collector's edition that has like extra stuff in it. I try to get collector's editions when I can. And then finally, the last one I got, which has been through hell for some reason, is Animal Crossing New Horizon. And I don't know what happened to it. I need to buy a new one or something. But you collect resources. You're trying to get Nook Miles like you do in the game. You have bells. You can uh, get items like furniture and stuff like in the game, and those are give you points towards the end of the game, stuff like that. It's pretty cool. The thing that I don't like about this game is there's so many pieces. Like there's a ridiculous amount of pieces to this game because all the instead of having like the properties, you have all the different resources, and there's like what 20 of each resource or something like that. So there's just it this game takes forever to set up and forever to clean up, and it that's what I hate about this game. It's fun, but nah, nah, bro. I'm not, I'm not cleaning up 200 tiny ass shits. I just don't want to do it. But yeah, there's a whole world of like there. I think there's even more gamer monopolies out there. I don't even think I have them all. Um, in fact, I do want to look because I have a majority of them. Let's see if there's any I'm missing. No, there might be an Overwatch one. Uh, let's see. Okay, there's a regular Mario one, which I had the collector's edition for.
There is an Overwatch one. I see it.
Okay, there is an Overwatch one. Um,
They actually have ratings for all these too. Like that one got a 6.6 out of 10.
it looks like there might be a Sonic the Hedgehog one. Yep.
There's like a monopoly for every small city. So I feel like there's probably one for most game franchises.
Yeah, like Covington has one. Loganville, I think, has one.
Lawrenceville, Georgia has a monopoly set. So yeah, that they're reaching, they're really reaching for that. But yeah, you can monopolize, no pun intended, anything you want.
It's very true. You could. But yeah, but I think if you want to do something, oh, and Pokemon, it's not a true like Monopoly gamer branded one, but it does have different rules where you battle Pokemon and stuff. So that's pretty cool. Like like I said, like if you want to play Monopoly but don't want to like play traditional Monopoly, definitely look for the gamer ones because they offer something a little different, but still kind of like within that archetype, you know? So anyway, that's my Monopoly uh whatever you want to call it. Presentation, TED Talk, whatever.
Yeah. Aside from the Monopoly gamer I showed in one of our recent episodes, that Mario Kart, that was the only one I owned. But I think if I had to pick one that I wanted to play the most, it would be that Halo one because it's my favorite game universe.
Mm.
Of all those, as much as I love Zelda, it's my favorite game universe. I like the Halo one, so that would be cool to play if I
Remind
had to
me,
choose one.
we'll play it next time you come over.
There, that sounds good. So this is gonna be the last thing I show, just time because of time constraints here. But so I'll preface by saying a couple of weeks ago, something pretty remarkable happened in gaming, and I'm sure we'll talk about it at some point in time, maybe on podcast. But Bethesda Soft, well, they used to be called Softworks. Now I guess it's just called Bethesda Games. They shadow dropped a remaster of Oblivion almost out of nowhere. Very few people saw that coming unless they were insiders, even though there was a huge cast of people that were involved in making that game. But yeah, they pretty much just dropped a remaster of Oblivion on us, and it's basically 20 years after the original game. So this is my Oblivion for Xbox 360, Elder Scrolls 4. Of course, the Elder Scrolls 3 was Morrowind, and before that, 2 was Daggerfall. I think 1 was Arena. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
And then 5 is Skyrim. But this one was really a landmark. I had played Morrowind before I played this, and I've probably talked about before, especially on our podcast, how I didn't have the greatest PC when I was growing up. So I played Morrowind, and not at the best frame rate. It wasn't really my computer really wasn't able to fully handle that game at 60 FPS. That's for sure. I don't know how many frames it played at when it came out, but long story short, I lost my save game in Morrowind after I did put a lot of time into it. I never came back to it, so I never beat the game or whatever, but I did enjoy it a lot. I really liked how deep the lore is in this game. Um, but I remember this was like a huge turning point, and I feel like I'm showing something that, if we're talking about like, I mean, basically our channel is mostly retro gaming content, but I feel like it feels too soon to show something like this. But when you think about it, this is released in 2006, so it's really 19 years old at this point. Um,
Ugh.
I know, right? I remember when this came out, and I just played this game for so many hours, obsessively. And yeah, this was the winner of. Here's the quote on the back. It says, "Oblivion is the best looking game I have ever seen in my life by Xbox.com." And then there's all the awards it won. It won the G4, what is it? It's called G4ia Award. It won the Golden Joystick Award. Um, yeah, G4ia '06 Ultimate Game of the Year. Something else like VBA winner. I'm not sure what that is. Um,
None of that stuff exists anymore.
yeah, none of that stuff exists anymore. But this is the game, and I spent so much time. This is the platinum hits version, and it says greatness is earned. Um, Bestseller, platinum hits, awarded. Um, here's the game. This, yeah, just one disc here. Um, yeah, I have very fond memories of like playing Xbox 360. It was a pretty important era of gaming for me. I just spent a long time with my Xbox 360 and played a lot of really good games, and this is high on the list. Um, Now, I do feel like this game was improved upon a lot with Skyrim. I'll have to say that.
Yeah.
But for when this was out, it was like mind blowing. And I want to say like this applies for like Forgotten Realms, and there's very few games and series that have backstories as deep as the Elder Scrolls or Forgotten Realms. Shadowrun, you can include that too. I mean, I was showing the Shadowrun book last time on Show and Tell, and there's so many different novels by so many different authors. Like they have such a huge game world. But my point that I wanted to make is that like the reason we play video games in the first place is it's a form of escapism. Like we want to escape into these deep worlds that are um, far away from the world we live in. So that's kind of what it's all rooted in. But what better way to do that than with a game that has so much lore and so much history, as something like this? This game is it really created a whole bunch of memes. You could just go on YouTube and watch for hours all the different memes, like the NPC conversation and the NPC dialogue, like started a whole different type of video on YouTube where like they're showing people who they say are real life NPCs, and some of it's pretty funny, but the dialogue and the voice acting is extremely good in Oblivion and in Skyrim. Incredible voice acting, really, and good dialogue. Just a really good game. After that came out, and this is the DLC for Oblivion. It's called The Shivering Isles. You have to have Oblivion to play this. Can't play it without it. I don't really own too many physical DLCs, but this is one that I do own. I think I got this at GameStop later on. Expansion pack for Oblivion, and it includes Knights of the Nine. So it's got like its own campaign and whatnot in it. It says enter the realm of madness. It's a good campaign. It's pretty good for a DLC. Um, there's the game. It's got its own
Oh,
game
it's a
world
disc.
and everything. Yep, there's a disc. Just got a small, tiny little booklet, but there is something in here that's pretty neat that I got to show. And I'm glad I picked this up at a GameStop. So in here, I will unfold this thing that came inside here, and it is a map of the Shivering Isles.
Cool.
Let's see. Let me make sure I hold it right. Yeah, there we go. Map of the Shivering Isles. I think you like teleport here.
Hmm.
I'm sure you teleport off the main map and you go to this map, but most of the DLC takes place here. But yeah, it's pretty sweet. Um, nowhere like they have names like the Hill of Suicides, New Sheoth, Spine Mountains. Um, Not much else I can say. Although I will go on a little bit of a tangent here. So I have this book here, and a pen. Okay, this weird little book with this lobster on it, and this pen with this lobster on it. So inside this book is all these little notes I had written, and most of it's about Oblivion. Um, Funny enough, like I put my most wanted Xbox games at the time, and I had number one was Metal Gear Rising, and I think I what did I say 2011 question mark, Skyrim TES 4, and I put a date next to that, FF13 to be announced, Mass Effect 3. But I basically this was like my little Oblivion scratchbook, and what I mainly used this for was well, I put in like places to revisit. What I mainly use this book for is to catalog all the books that are in the inventory, all the books that are in your inventory in Oblivion. And I had to make sure I read all of them, and I wanted to make sure I didn't have any duplicates. And I shared this book. This was, with my ex at the time. So you'll see some of the handwriting is a little too neat to be mine. But we were both into this game at that time. But yeah, like all the books and stuff, we would write it out in here, and then I would put a little dot next to the dots next to all of them. That means I read them.
Mm.
Um, well, I
Like in
and
full?
yeah, well, the books are their books are in your inventory. Some
Right.
of them are short, but most of them are pretty substantial. And the
Right.
same thing you could find the same thing in like Baldur's Gate, for example.
Yeah.
But I think they borrowed that from Baldur's Gate, or from Forgotten Realms in general, just to add to the lore.
Yeah.
Um,
That's why I was like, man,
but
that's a lot of reading.
there are definitely more. Yeah, there's definitely more reading, and it goes back to my point about we play these games to escape from reality and just to read this deep lore and everything. So, this is like some game reviews that we had written down. Like, those are the reviews from GameStop.com for some Xbox 360 games and what the score was. Um, and then most of these games I have, like, there's even Monopolies on there. I actually have that Monopoly game. Have Eternal
Nice.
Sonata, Sonic Ultimate Gaming Collection, Fable 2. Um, yeah, even like Red Faction, Tomb Raider, and stuff was written down. Um, but yeah, most of this was just books from Oblivion. So my point is, I was really into this game at the time, really into
Uh,
Oblivion. Yeah, those are all books of the names of.
Lusty Argonian maid? Oh my.
Yeah, the Lusty Argo. That's the one that you picked. It's the Lusty Argonian maid. Uh,
I don't
and
even think
I
it's
couldn't
on
I
there.
couldn't I couldn't tell you. I'm surprised you can even read my handwriting, but I couldn't even tell you what any of these books were about. Well, this one says harvesting frostbite spider venom, but yeah, I
Oh,
couldn't tell you what these books were about anymore. But I did take the time back then, 19 years ago or whenever, to read all of it and to write it all down. There's so many. That's why I had to keep up with it in this book. But
yeah, there's so
yeah,
many, dude.
I just wanted to commemorate this occasion of the remastering of Oblivion being dropped upon us by just talking a little bit about my memories with Oblivion. And yeah, it's a great game, and it definitely had a big impact on my gaming journey as a whole.
Since you were talking about it, I might as well throw my hat in the ring there. So, I was pretty hyped for Oblivion before it came out, and I pre-ordered it. I pre-ordered the collector's edition, which had the coin and like the the leather bound like uh what you call it? Eh,
Ouch.
I can't remember what it was. It was just like a little lore book talking about like all the stuff. But I remember, I'm pretty sure that was 2006. I'm pretty sure I worked at Blockbuster at the time. Huh. And I still remember like playing that game, like tutorial. I was like all in to win, and I played Morrowind for just a little bit. And but I played this one, and dude, I loved it. However, one thing I very distinctly remember is I had a hard time going into dungeons because the sense of dread would always hit me so hard because it was so immersive, and I was like, man, I don't know if I can do this. I mean, I played through it just fine, but like it was just the weirdest feeling because of how they dressed dungeons. It was just kind of like, ugh. But I love that game, trying to find all the little quirks of the game because Bethesda games are known for being broken with all their glitches and stuff, and finding all that stuff out was fun. And then Shivering Isles, I played with Goth or whatever the hell his name is, that uh
Shea Gorath.
Gora, thank you. And I think I beat Shivering Isles because he does makes you do all that stuff, and it's pretty good. It would lead me to really enjoy the Elder Scrolls series because I've been talking about, I'm a huge JRPG guy. I love JRPGs. I'll try any JRPG under the sun, no matter how wild or ridiculous its gaming is. I'll try it. And I didn't really dive into Western RPGs that much because most of the time those games were restricted to PC. Most Western RPGs were on PCs at the time. So when they tried to bridge the gap and started bringing those games out on Xbox, I was all in, and I loved it. And Skyrim really sealed the deal for me as far as like how good Elder Scrolls games are. We talked about that a minute ago, but like, that game is pretty great. And I actually bought it three times, I think, because it came out on Switch, and then I bought it on Xbox, and I might have bought it on I bought it another time, I think. But I love that game too. And it's the remaster for Oblivion is actually pretty cool because they actually reworked the combat and a few other things to make it more modern. So I want to try it just to see like how they've updated it, and they've updated the graphics and all that crap, and so that's cool. They hired new voice actors for some of the stuff, so that's cool. Um, I think if given on a long enough timeline, we'll have a Skyrim remaster in the same way. But what I did want to say is there was, and we might do something about, we might go over this at some point, but there was a Bethesda leak not too long ago where they showed off their like 5-year plan, and Oblivion was on it for 2023, but apparently uh, COVID pushed everything back 2 years, so it's 2 years later. And on that leak was also Fallout 3. They're doing a remaster of that. And that was for 2024, I think. So we'll probably see that next year. So come back here and comment on March 2026 and let me know if I was right. But there's that leak. There's also the NVIDIA leak that talked about stuff. But anyway, going back. If you haven't played it, you should try Elder Scrolls Online because it actually encapsulates the Elder Scrolls experience within an MMO, and that's pretty fun. You go back to like all sorts of places in Elder Scrolls, and that game's pretty cool. I think you can play it for free now. Um, I think you just maybe you buy the game and then you can have access to it. I can't remember. I don't think there's a monthly fee, but that game's cool too. Anyway, long story short, I think Elder Scroll games are awesome, and it all started with Oblivion. So, I think it's awesome that they remastered it so new gamers can experience what we experienced almost 20 years ago. Ugh, man, I'm old.
Yeah,
All
I hope we get a Skyrim remaster at some point. I'm not gonna buy. I'm just gonna go on record. I'm not gonna buy the Oblivion remaster and play it mainly because um, the achievement list, they didn't add anything. It's exactly the same. I already
Hmm.
did all that stuff in this game, and I did all that stuff in the Shivering Isles, and I don't feel a need to go back and do it again. But I am watching some videos on YouTube and enjoying it. I'm enjoying the memes. It's such a meme driven game. Like it created all this offshoots and people poking fun at the NPCs and the dialogue and
Yeah.
um, just the funny things you can do. Like you have so much freedom in that game. You can and to provoke all these different outcomes from people, and you could steal, and you can. And it's also a good speedrun game, and it's another good game that people speedrun and have broken it in ridiculous ways. I was reading somewhere or watching some video. It might have been Skyrim, but there's like somebody broke the game with the paintbrush that you could just find in almost any house, anybody's house in the game. You
Yeah.
can find little
And then you
paintbrushes.
make
And
the
somebody broke
stairs.
exactly like they basically built a staircase with all those umbrellas in the inventory by dropping them. So it's got some wild things in the game and physics related and game breaking glitches and exploits, but it is really a masterpiece piece. I guess I'll say one criticism I have about the game is I don't like the difficulty slider because you could just go into the settings of the game at any time and change the difficulty up or down. And I don't know. I just don't like that. Because it's too tempting like for people like, oh well, this boss is hard, or I'm not equipped for this, so I'm just going to turn the difficulty, make it a little easier. And there's no like penalty for doing that. Like some games just will, you have to start on easy and play easy the whole way through, or you got to start on hard and play it on hard the whole way through. It's just a small criticism I have, but
You want
um
to turn it up and rip the knob off, is what you're saying? You just want to go for broke?
or just play it on medium the whole way. But yeah,
That's funny.
it's a great game, and I'm excited, for what it's going to create in the community and the people who will get a chance to check it out maybe for the first time. It's going to be a great experience for a lot of people.
Yeah, sure. All right. Well, I think that's time for us.
Yep, that's going to do it for today's episode of Show and Tell. We'll most likely be back with more things to show in the future, but don't forget to comment, let us know what you want to see from us next time, and don't forget to like and subscribe. See you guys next time.
Laters.
目標は最終兵器メタルギア。ファミコン用カセットメタルギア発売中。
Konami.